the session. It's already 8 minutes late. We are already 8 minutes late. So I think we should start our session without waiting for others. So we'll start with 10 champions. So I hope everyone is safe and sound. So without wasting any further time, I'd like to start my presentation. So can everyone see my slide? You can just write some message.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So let's start, I guess. So good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to welcome all the participants for the first round of Community Champions program. And I would also like to take this time to thank all the champions for their commitment towards helping farmers make smart data-driven agricultural decisions. I am Suman Gimire, CEO and co-founder at Seed Innovations Private Limited. Talking about my professional background, I graduated in geomatics engineering in 2015. After that, I enrolled in postgraduate research in remote sensing and satellite technologies at University of Patras, Greece. And then I joined MSc program in precision agriculture, which was a joint collaborative course between Thammasat University and Hokkaido University, Japan. So that's about my professional background. And at Seed Innovations, we are a pioneering agri-tech company based in Kathmandu. The company was established in 2019 with a mission to help build and grow sustainable and profitable agribusiness for farmers around the world. And as a part of our knowledge transfer initiatives, we are launching this Community Champions program, which is a 2-day virtual event, each lasting 45 minutes. And I have to clear one thing, that by no means we can make you an expert in such a short duration. However, this event will be your stepping stone into precision agriculture, where you'll get insights into the basics of precision agriculture, satellite technology, its principles, map interpretation, real life applications in agriculture. And there's a popular saying that I feel most of the participants might have heard of. That is, practice makes a man perfect, and a woman too as well. So therefore, after the event, we expect champions to be proactive in learning. Plus, there will be a continuous post-event support, guidance, and mentorship for all the champions, which will slowly help build your expertise in this domain. So don't you worry if you are new to this term, satellite precision agriculture, because it's not a rocket science. And always remember that every expert was once a beginner. So without any further ado, I'd like to quickly walk you through what we will be learning in today's 45-minute session. First of all, I'll give you a lesson on introduction to satellite precision agriculture, followed by app demonstration, and then we'll conclude today's session with some discussion along with explaining to-dos for day 2. So let's start. So first of all, what is satellite precision agriculture? In today's world, intuition and luck means less and less as technology steps in and allows you to make decisions that are based on data. So satellite precision agriculture is such. It is an emerging farm management strategy that is changing the way people look at farm. And the remote sensing is the key technology behind how satellite captures every valuable information without even physically interacting with plants. This is a very useful tool. This satellite precision agriculture is very useful for early identification and monitoring of possible threats in the farm, such as weed infestation, be it insect damage, be it disease, be it hail or wind damage, be it water deficiency or water surplus, nutrient deficiency or surplus, among its many other applications. This satellite technology can also help predict the yield even a month before the harvest time, which we are currently working on as well. So with this yield identification as well, yield prediction, what it allows is to create a better marketplace before the product is harvested. And let me tell you an interesting thing, that satellite precision agriculture is not a new thing. It dates back to 1950s, but recent technological advancements have made the benefits of remote sensing accessible to most of the agricultural producers. Previously, these kind of technologies were just in the reach of scientists, researchers, or academics. And it is today's age that gives us the ability to store large amount of satellite data, high computational capability in the cloud, to provide farmers around the world with real-time crop monitoring tool. But I'm sure that you might be confused by now that how it actually works. How can a satellite that is very, very far away from Earth monitor your crop health? I'll tell you the answer. The answer lies in study of lights. So what we do with our app is we study the light, we study sunlight, or you can say electromagnetic energy. In the upcoming slides, I will show you how exactly we do that. So here you can see this is the sunlight. Sunlight not only consists of RGB, which we can see by human eyes, but it consists of many rays. You can see like there are gamma rays, X-rays, UV, infrared, shortwave infrared, and there are a lot of things. I don't want to go in detail because it will be even more confusing right now. But what I want to tell you is all the plants, all the vegetation in the world, they require electromagnetic energy for photosynthesis. So it is the must. Without light source, they can't undergo photosynthesis process. So when electromagnetic energy from the sun strikes the plant, three things can happen. So depending on the wavelength of energy and characteristics of individual plants, the energy will be either reflected, either absorbed or transmitted. The remote sensing technology can detect such transmission, such interactions of the light, how much reflected, how much observed. So those things can be recorded by the technology, and that is how we can help monitor crop health. I think someone joined. Hello, Aswin. Uh, we have already started the session, so please follow along. So everyone can see my slides, right?
Yes.
Okay, just a moment. Okay. So where was I? Okay. So I told you about the electromagnetic energy from the sun that interacts with the plants. So there's another thing, interesting thing. So why does plant appears green in color? I'll tell you why it looks green. It's a very relatable example that everyone can relate, and about the interaction, how light interaction helps shape the color we perceive around the objects on Earth. So here, as you can see, there is red light, blue light, green light. These are the only visible rays that our eyes can see. We can't see thermal, UV, X-ray, infrared, anything else. So what happens with plants is it absorbs red band, blue band, and then reflects green. So as it reflects green, that's the reason it appears green color. The chlorophyll pigment in the plant, they reflect green waves. So that's how the plant appears green. And how does this helps in understanding plant health? Similar to our eye, the satellite can also record the reflectance properties of the plants. So for photosynthesis to occur, the chlorophyll pigment in the plant needs to actively absorb red wave and blue wave from the sunlight, because this is a very crucial part of the plants to develop and grow. Likewise, the cell structure of the plants reflects near infrared light, and they observe visible range of light. So a healthy plant, the point that you need to remember is a healthy plant with a lot of chlorophyll and good cell structure will actively absorb red light and reflect near infrared light. And exactly opposite happens to a diseased plant or dead plant. So you remember the point is healthy plant observes the red band and reflects near infrared light, while unhealthy plant absorbs infrared and reflects the red wave, which it should have observed for photosynthesis. So this is how we shape our algorithm to calculate crop health of entire planet Earth. So this not only applies to some cash crops or rice wheat, this applies to all the vegetation around the earth, be it cash crops, be it orchards, be it vineyards, everything that grows, basically everything that grows will follow the same principle. So here in the picture, you can see a dead plant is actively absorbing the near infrared band and reflecting all in the same range. So this is considered as their dead plant. And a stressed plant will although reflect green, but it also doesn't reflect or absorb much blue and red band. Likewise, a healthy plant will reflect more NIR while observe red band. So this is a simple illustration of what I was talking about. And another thing is, where can't this satellite technology be applied? So there are few places or few points where this technology can be applied. One is greenhouse or tunnel farming, because in those cases there will be either a plastic or a coverage that affects the light study, so can't be applied to tunnel farming, greenhouse, and also can't be applied to a very small farm, let's say around half a hectare or quarter of a hectare. Those small farms can't be this technology can't be utilized there. And one of our participants has joined. So Abdullah, we have already started. So We have already started, so you can follow along the slides. If you have any questions, we'll answer it at the end of this session. So, so these are the two conditions where satellite technology can't be applied. However, if you are doing tunnel farming, if you there's someone has a small farm or tunnel farming, still our app, one feature of our app is still can be applied to such farming practices, which is talk to expert feature. We have it in our app where users can send us a picture of their damaged plant, and our team of experts will get back with the remedies within 24 hours. So that's one feature that can be applied for this kind of tunnel farming or very small rooftop gardens. So here, as I told you, the principle of light interaction with plants, using this principle, a scientist named Krieger in 1969 has proposed a vegetation index, which is a very classical algorithm called Ndvi. As I mentioned earlier, healthy plant will actively observe in red band and actively reflect in the NIR band. So based on this interaction, this equation can monitor crop health. So how do we monitor is the with this equation, when we compute this equation, the value ranges from -1 to 1. So any values below 0, they are either dead plants or water surface or concrete buildings. So we are not interested in any values below 0. So above 0, so this range represents, and this color combination which you can see here is the exact same color combination which we are using in our app. So you can understand with this color patterns. So unhealthy plantation will have this kind of color combination, and the moderately healthy will be above between 0.33 to 0.66, and above that is a very healthy plantation which might be ready for harvest as well. So so ndvi is just an indicator of plants health, growth and development. It's an indicator for that, and based on the light interaction property. So what does NDVI helps us with? So one thing is NDVI lets you monitor the overall situation in the field, what's happening in the field in hard to reach areas without having to go to the field. So you can remotely monitor what's happening in the field with satellite technology. And not only that, NDVI also helps you promptly identify areas where lodging, flooding, disease, and other anomalies may be taking place. Farmers can simply skip the part of the field that they are developing well and only go to the areas that have some problem. So now I would like to show you this picture. So you can see here, the red areas represent poor crop health, and there is some problem in these areas, whereas green areas represents good crop health. And I remember reviewing the application of one of our champions, and he mentioned his experience while working in the field. He was a field officer. Still a field officer, and when scouting for pest disease, especially for large farms, it is very difficult and tedious process, especially given that it's a very large farm. This will consume huge amount of time and valuable resources. I think his name is Augustine, and this is exactly where the application of satellite technology comes in. We help overcome such issues where farmers can remotely monitor the crops and only go to the farm when they really have to, saving valuable time and resources. And this is an example of a walnut orchard demonstration. So as you can see, these areas in green, they are very healthy, whereas this is slowly degrading, and right now it's not completely red, but as we monitor every 3 to 5 days, it can either slowly turn to red or can improve its condition. So the satellite technology gives us this advantage of remotely monitoring our large farms. So NDVI, one thing that I'd like to tell you is it is important to understand that NDVI is just an indicator of plant's performance, but it doesn't say anything about the cause of the particular condition. So it's you can say it's rather a hint at what is currently happening in your field, but it doesn't say that problem is because of disease or because of nutrient deficiency. For confirming that, you need to go to the field and you need to check for yourself that particular areas. So let's consider three scenarios of NDVI. So one is beginning stage, mid stage, and the end stage. So at various stages of the season, the index may indicate different problems in the field. So here in the graph between NDVI and time, so imagine this is a plantation date. So whenever you plant, as it grows, the NDVI value slowly increases over time and it reaches the peak during the harvest time. And after it's ready for harvest, the NDVI slowly decreases and it forms a bell curve. And this is true for every plantation. So every plantation NDVI will have a bell curve for a healthy plantation. And at the beginning stage, so let's suppose you have just planted rice in 5 hectares of your land. So what does NDVI helps you in the beginning stage? So it helps to understand how plants have survived during its early stage. So, and there is another important thing as well. During this beginning stage, it can identify one of the biggest biotic threat in agriculture, that is weed infestation. Anything that grows unwanted, anything that is unwanted in the field. So we can identify those kind of weed infestation, especially at the beginning stage. So let's take an example. So for example, Mr. X has planted rice in his 5 hectares of farm. So whenever the plant grows, it should have similar kind of trend. They should follow similar trend. So for example, in this field, he planted it all at once. So here you can see some are not growing well, some are doing okay. But here down, you can see it's very healthy. Sometimes being healthy is also a problem because during early stages, if the NDVI is very high, then it might represent that there is a weed in that area. Something was already growing and it's becoming healthy and destroying other crops. So you need to focus attention towards these high values during the first 3 to 4 weeks of the plantation. So at this 3 to 4 weeks of plantation, it can help identify weed infestation. And what happens at the mid stage? So at the mid stage, it helps, the NDVI helps to understand how plants grow and develop. So it you can say it as you can help monitor throughout its growing phase in the middle. And during that time at the mid stage, if the NDVI is medium to high, most likely there are no major issues in that part of field. But if the NDVI index is very low, low is represented by red color. So there might be specific issues like lack of moisture, disease, pests, or lack of nutrients. So it is better to check such parts of the field yourself. So which part we'll be checking is this red part and the red parts. We are not majorly concerned about this green areas because it's growing well. And you can check it every 3 to 5 days because in our app, the satellite gets updated every 3 to 5 days. And along with that, NDVI at the end stage. So at the end stage, what happens is NDVI can help determine when it's the right time for harvesting. So for example, here, suppose this is a rice plantation and everything is green. So it represents healthy plant. This image was captured right 1 month before the harvest time. So during the harvest time, what happens is this green color will slowly go to yellow color because as I told you, the NDVI bell curve will slowly degrade after it reaches its maturity. So we can also know when it's time for harvest using this NDVI. Here as well, so this is just an example. So where we need to check in the field for any problems is and this red areas, and we need to constantly monitor the yellowish part, because it can anytime turn red, or it can even improve to green. So we need to worry about the red areas specifically. And here you can see a multi-temporal. So many dates of NDVI will have a time series like this. So it can turn from maybe red and slowly improving to green. So you can monitor it that way. So, and the limitation that we have, one limitation for now is, if there is a cloud cover over your field for a very long time, then the satellite image will be unclear, or there won't be any satellite image. Usually this happens only during the monsoon season, but this is true for any index. While using the optical satellite imagery, when there is a cloud cover, unfortunately we can't provide the crop health information. However, we are also working on radar dataset from satellite imagery, which is Sentinel-1, which has the capability to penetrate radar as well, which will be available in our app maybe in next 6 months. So we are doing research on that. So until now, do you have any questions? Please feel free to ask. Otherwise, if there is no question, then we can move to app demonstration round. Hello. Are there any questions so far? What should be, there's a question from Sumbal. What should be the minimum size of the farm for this app? So any farm size above 1 hectare would be well enough for our app. But if the areas have a very small size, if the land is very small, let's say 0.5 hectare or 0.2 hectare or 0.1 hectare, basically the gardens, small gardens, those areas can't be uh, used for satellite analytics. So the answer to your question, Sumbal, is any land area greater than a hectare would be useful for satellite applications. And can you explain? So there's a question from Dipesh Oli. Can you explain how NDVI in early stages works? So as I mentioned here, I'll show you the slides. So at the early stages, it, it tells about how plant have survived the early season. And so here you can see in the early stages here, you can see my slide, right? Mm. So here, the NDVI is very low. So this means like typically these figures respond to bare soil, plowed soil without any vegetation. So this area has a little bit of vegetation, and we need to constantly monitor your field for this area. Seems okay, and this area as well. But here, down here, this looks good. Although this looks good, but there might be some problem here, because all the other area here as well, if it has NDVI above 0.5, then there might be some unwanted things growing there already. So you might want to check the field yourself, go to that area, and then you can check it for yourself using our app. So basically, early stage of NDVI can help identify weed infestation in a very large farm. So imagine hectares and hectares of land that you have, and you can identify, pinpoint where the problem is. So this flexibility is provided by uh, our technology, satellite technology. And I hope I answered your question, Dipesh. And there's another question from Can the app be used in forest plantations as well? You mean the orchards or fruit trees? Yes, definitely. That can be applied to forest plantations, fruit trees as well, because the photosynthesis light interaction is same for all the plants. And what are the other limitations? One limitations that I told you was one limitation is the cloud cover. So when there's cloud cover, it affects the data. And the other limitation is very small farms, less than a hectare or zero point 0.5 hectares. And the other is rooftop gardens, small gardens, backyard gardens, which is not so big. Those areas, it's not so very useful. What's Ndvi again? So from Romilo Tagalog, there's a question. So Ndvi is an indicator of crop health, and its full name is Normalized Difference Vegetation Index. So it's an index or an algorithm that can monitor the interaction between light and then provide crop health information. And there's another question from Bikram. Nepal, the image which capture is not clear. How much is the accuracy we can get? The image we're observing is at what height from Earth's surface? How can we observe soil nutrients? So, how much is the accuracy? So, regarding the accuracy, Bikram, the satellite image that we are using is from European Space Agency. It's a Copernicus mission, and they have launched Sentinel satellites, Sentinel 2A and 2B that we are using, and the accuracy or the spatial resolution of that satellite is 10 meters. So one pixel in the map will represent 10 meter by 10 meter pixel on the ground, and it's it's way above. I am not sure about the exact height, but it should be more than it's in the outer space. So, and how can we observe the soil nutrient? Okay, so we do not necessarily observe the soil part, but we just do look into the interaction of the plants with the lights. So not necessarily we can know the soil nutrient, but based on the soil, the plant grows, right? So a plant responds or plant depicts whatever it has in the soil. So if it's not growing well, then it indirectly interrelated, but we don't necessarily look into the soil nutrient, but we just look into plant nutrient. And we also calculate canopy nitrogen content from satellite imagery as well, which I'll discuss later. So, and another, I hope I answered your question, Bikram. And if there is any few more questions, you can just post in the chat. And there's another question from ASDDSA. It's a very nice name. So how many times do we have to measure NDVI, mean time interval for NDVI? I think how many times do we have to measure NDVI? So you just need to create a field. So you just need to add a field in our app. Then with that, the satellite image visits every 3 to 5 days. So we get the data every 3 to 5 days, except when there is a fever, there might be some delay. Otherwise, we get every 3 to 5 days the NDVI. And there is another question from Yuvraj. That means the NDVI value must be low as far as possible during the beginning for knowing the good health. It's it's not necessarily uh, as low as possible, but it should grow consistently. So when you plant it today, after 2 to 3 weeks, it can't jump suddenly to above 0.5. It should grow gradually. That's my point. And if it has sudden increase, then you have to go check for yourself before telling that this is yield. You need to go and check your field. And for checking your field, how you can do that is we have GPS, we have compass in our phone, which our app uses. So you, with the help of GPS enabled compass, you can just go to the field and check for yourself. If you are unsure, you can send us a picture, then we can also help you monitor the crop field. I hope I answered Yuvraj's question well. And does rescaling in Ndvi affect the image quality? Yes, definitely, Asbin. So while rescaling, so for example, we have, as I said, it's 10-meter spatial resolution, right? So when I rescale it to 20-meter, then obviously the features that you can see in the map is degraded, or it's downscaled, or it loses its resolution. So I think Oswin's question is also there, done. And can satellite imagery specify by can can satellite imagery specify by color band? I didn't get your question, cousin. How satellite imagery is determined when wheat are belong to same family?
Shimon, my question is that can satellite imageries specify by crop color bands?
Mhm. Crop color bands.
Yeah,
Satellite imagery specify weed. You mean? I saw your another question as well down there.
yeah. I have two questions.
Yeah. So, and satellite imagery is specified by crop color band. So,
Yes.
satellite imageries can do a lot of things. Maybe right now we are using NDVI. So, that uses two color bands that are near infrared and uh, the red band. But if you apply thermal bands as well, it can be a whole different thing. So, your answer is yes, and that depends on the purpose you are using. So, for NDVI, we use color band of NDVI and red.
Okay.
And also about how satellite imagery is determined when we belong to same family. So satellite imagery can determine by its growth. So as I told you, so when there are weeds belonging to a same family, one you want to grow, another you want to get rid of. So how can you do that is, so whenever you planted the things that you really want in your field, but the things that you don't want might grow faster than the things that you want to grow. For example, you planted rice right now, just for example, and it should have the same consistency because you plant it in the interval of 1 or 2 days, right? You
Yeah.
don't plant a part of rice in 1 month and next month you come and plant again. That doesn't happen usually. So you plant it all at once, right? So the trend should be also all at once. But if there is something already growing in the field, that will grow continuously. So that particular thing will have higher NDVI. So the satellite imagery can help identify those kind of patterns. So it's just pattern recognition and growth recognition, monitoring those aspects that helps us determine crop health.
Okay.
I-
Okay.
Is it clear, cousin, or is there any questions?
Yes, Shimon. Yes, Shimon.
It's clear?
Yes.
Okay, great. And we have another question from Romulu Tagalo. If I use this in forestry project, how will the color determine trees planted or wild? So if your forestry project, trees planted or wild, just as I mentioned earlier, uh, it's not necessary for forestry project. Like if you want to monitor for forest applications, there are other indices as well which helps in accurate identification. This is for just for the agriculture or the cash crops, vineyards, those kind of things. But you can determine the trees planted and weeds by, because if you plant a tree and let's suppose for example you plant a tree there. For trees, what you can do is you can monitor the tree vigor, like how is it well uh, accepting the colors, or how well it's accepting green, red band, and reflecting near infrared band. So you can monitor that. And for specifically trees, it's very hard for detecting weed because, as I said, only in early stages of crop growth. That is, whenever you planted a crop just now, let's say in a 5 hectares, then you can know the trend. But if you plant one tree and then try to detect weed, it's very difficult. So, Romulu, your answer could be like it's very hard for detecting trees for forestry projects. And even NDVI in the mid stage or in the late stage can't help to identify weed. It's just the trend that I said will allow you to monitor weed in the early stages of development. Okay. And if I use this further, okay. So there's another question from Bikram. How can we differentiate that the color pattern can determine which problem cause defect in plant pest disease? Uh, Bikram, as I said earlier, so his question is, how can we differentiate the color pattern can determine which cause effect in plant? So what caused that effect? As I mentioned earlier, NDVI is just an indicator of crop performance. It doesn't necessarily say the cause of the problem. For determining the cause of the problem, you need to go to that particular area and check for yourself. And there's another feature in our app. What it does is when you reach to that area, you can send us a picture. And with that picture, our experts will let you know after 24 hours that what the exact problem is. So with only NDVI, it can't detect whether it's related to pest problem or water deficiency or nutrient deficiency, those kind of things. So is it clear, Vikram?
Yeah, thank you. So, can you a little bit describe about the application of this satellite imagery in other way, like uh, how can the yield prediction and these other things also?
Yeah. For yield prediction, so right now we don't have yield prediction within our app, but we are currently working on it. And it might take next 6 months for that feature to be launched. But how we are working on it is, as you all know, like machine learning, it's a state of art technology, and we have the data. We are collecting data from like previous historical data set of different crop types. These are thousands and thousands of data, and what we correlate with that data is, so for example, you planted rice 3 years ago and you have the NDVI trend during the harvest time. So, and you'll have the harvest record as well for that plant. So let's suppose 3 years before you planted in 1 hectare area rice and you got yield of 5,000 kg, let's for example. So we have that kind of data for thousands of fields. So how we do that is we apply empirical models based on those two variables or those two parameters and find a model that fits the best. And when we find that model that fits the best, then we can later say like for this kind of NVI at this stage, the yield would be this. So you got my point, Vikram?
Yeah, thank you. Okay, one more last question. Okay,
Yeah.
so I already asked you that the how can we calculate or how can we identify the soil nutrient, but you told me that we do not do that, but we used to determine from the color pattern of the crop that that the plant needs some nutrient or not. But if you know that easy mode is doing some kind of things like that, from this map we can determine in which place of Nepal we can the fertilizer or nutrient of the soil is like they are doing in that way. So what's the difference, and how why we cannot do that also? Okay, did you get my point? Hello.
Hello, Suman sir.
Hello, Vikram.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? So
Yeah.
I got half of your point. Actually, I was on mute. I was speaking. I just noticed that. So I got half of your point. You said like organizations like EC Mode, they also know about soil nutrients, right? That was your point. Like NARC has also released a digital soil map for whole Nepal as well, right? So that basically takes a lot of time and effort. And the accuracy of that data is also questionable. Like they have way less sampling points, and I'm not sure whether it's that much dependable or not. But with just the soil nutrient information, there needs to be also a crop recommendation platform based on that soil platform, which I didn't see. So still we are doing more research on what features would be essential to add as well. So what was your other half question, Vikram? I just heard this part.
No, 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 that's okay. It covered my question. Okay,
It
thank you.
covers your question.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically one point that I want to clear is, so our Ndvi doesn't necessarily tell about the soil nutrient, right? But whenever a plant grows, it grows based on the soil nutrient. So there's some kind of correlation or interrelation between that. So although I say we don't necessarily calculate the soil nutrient information, but it's kind of related. Do you understand my point? So because it gets its nutrient from the soil, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, so your question, are there any questions, Vikram? Otherwise, I'll focus on other. We'll
No,
make this very short now because we are already out of our time schedule, and we still have to demo our app, but it will be very brief. So I just want to give you an overview of how to use this app. And tomorrow session, we'll discuss more on it as well. And we'll have further more round of discussion after you all use the app and you find some issues, then we'll have discussion on that as well. So, uh, and another question is, do you guys have successful case studies? Okay, so we have been working with a farmer in Bhaktapur area, which is in Nepal as well. He's been using our app since last 6 months. And what the problem he was facing was he had very less water. So that area, his name, the farmer's name is Loknath, and he continuously faced the issue of water scarcity because there is no enough water for him to drink as well, but he has to even irrigate his plants. So what when he used our water efficiency feature, he can utilize or optimize the amount of water. So he doesn't necessarily overwater as well and not underwater as well. So he told us that that is one of our success stories where he could actually benefit from our works. And we have other case studies from large farms in plain lands of Nepal where they have been implementing our app. So this they are implementing through Prime Minister Agricultural Modernization Project in Chitwan Banana Zone. So a couple of farmers are also using there, and they have found good stories. They have successfully identified the problematic areas. So they are in Chitwan, they are planting in a large field that is around 10 to 15 hectares of areas. They are planting bananas. So they can easily identify areas where there is water logging issues. They can already identify where there was a problem with a disease, because whenever there is a disease, plants can't absorb as much light as it's required. So because of that, those areas will be in red color. So there are a couple of success stories as well. I hope I answered Obed's question well. And there's another question from Kazim. How field moisture availability detect? Is it from water vapor imageries or? Okay, so the field moisture or the water stress, it can be calculated through satellite imagery based on two bands, green band, near infrared band, and there is also a thermal band as well, which can help us identify. Because when there is water stress, the stomata water stress, when there is no enough water, then the stomata closes to prevent further loss of water. So that way, the temperature of the plant is higher, slightly higher than normal conditions. So that way, we can also detect water stress, and also it is interrelated with moisture as well. I hope I answered Kazim's question well. And is it possible to demonstrate the app after visualization? Okay, so now we'll move on to app demonstration. Okay, I will just log in from my mobile and then we'll immediately start. Okay. Mm, okay, so everyone can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Please, uh, you can write it in the chat as well. So first of all, I have uninstalled the app so as to demonstrate you from the beginning. So first of all, we go to the Play Store and then you can just type PlantSat. Plant is for plant and sat is for satellite. And there you come across our app. What you can do is simply install the app. You can follow along. Everyone can follow along. So we'll be on the same page. So now that I have downloaded the app, so let me just open it now. So you have two languages to select as of now, but we are trying to integrate as much language as possible. So I'll select English for now. So here are some of our features. Observe your crop in real time and identify issues. That's feature one. Feature two is water use efficiency, manage your water resources smartly, and fertilizer guidance. As I said, we also calculate canopy nitrogen content every 3 to 5 days from satellite imagery. So these are our features. Now, moving on, you have three options to sign up. So either Facebook, Google. For now, I will use Google login. So simply press that and you can press any of your accounts. So what we need to allow the app access is to the GPS. So while using the app, so now what happens is it will prompt you to your current position. So this green thing, as you can see here, is your current location. And why is this white color appearing is I have already used the app before and I have created a lot of polygons. So that's the reason I have a lot of rectangles or some shapes there. Here, when I zoom in, you can see there's an arrow that's blue in color. Whenever you rotate your phone, that that arrow rotates as well. So the front of your phone, so let's for example the front face is the area where the arrow represents or arrow points. So whenever you have to reach some areas, you can just slightly rotate the phone. It stopped. Can you see the mobile phone? I think it's not visible right now.
Yes, it's black.
Okay, let me check again. I need to join again, so that's the reason. Just bear a moment. Okay, it should be visible now. So basically, what this arrow on the GPS helps is it helps uh, it helps with identifying the specific red areas. So whenever this point arrow turns to red, then you can walk straight to that area. And right now, my GPS is moving quite a bit because I am inside a concrete building. So that stops GPS connectivity. So when you are in open farm, you don't usually face that issue. So moving on, what we can do is here, I will create one polygon here. So for creating the polygon or the fill, you just press plus button once, and then you will see three options. Among the three options, you select create field. And after creating field, you will be given this kind of map. So up there in the green hint, you can see click first point on the map. So okay, I touch one point on the map, it appears red. And click next edge close to the first point. So I click the next point close to the first one. Okay, I just pressed once and it gives two markers. And it again says click next edge of the farm close to the second point. So let's imagine this is the third point. I'm just doing a demo. Actually, this is not an agricultural area. This is a residential area. So the analytics or the value that you get would be red color. And finally, I want to end this field. So I press again on the end corner. Now there's a polygon, right? So what you can do next, you can press next and add your field name. So I'll write test, and here as well, test. And I'll save it for now. Okay, as soon as I save it, you will see that there is a polygon now. And what you need to do before anything else, after that map loads or after that polygon loads, you just need to click on that polygon, touch it once. After touching once, you'll see this kind of information like the poor crop health, good crop health, and getting satellite data. So what right now, what our app is doing is the polygon that you have made will first go to European Space Agency. There is an API in Google Earth Engine. It will access the satellite imagery. Tell that our API that we need the satellite data for this polygon for any dates, like every 3 to 5 days, and available dates as well. So it will altogether load a month of data. It's again gone. I'll share again. Sorry for the issues. So right now we are still in that same page. What happens is it will send request to Google Earth Engine API that I need satellite data for this polygon. So it will take some time depending on your internet connection. It will take roughly from 1 to 2 minutes or 3 minutes at most. And once this data loads, then you don't need internet connection. You can just go to your field and check your farm health without any internet connection. So for the first time, you need internet connection. So now you can see there are few dates already loaded, right? So what we can do is here 20 May, it's showing cloud, right? So there is no data. When you press there, it says cloud cover, no data. So you need to check for, so even 17th May as well, there's cloud cover because it was raining since last few days here in Kathmandu. So we have no data during that time. And if you see 15th May data, when you press that, it will load. Why it's red or very poor crop health? Because it's in the residential area. As I mentioned in my previous slide that we are not interested in any values below 0. So any residential area, any bare soil will have an EVI below 0. So that's the reason we see this kind of data. And likewise here, there are a lot of cloud cover because it's a monsoon season here. In monsoon season, we don't usually get much data, but we'll get at least two datas a month. So in April, we have 2 datas, but only 2 datas is also valuable enough because it can tell you what's going on in your field. So when you can check all the datas here, you can press it, check it with the cloud cover. You can't see those data. So this is one feature. And you can also check weather condition as well, like today's weather, degree Celsius temperature, humidity, and wind speed as well. And another thing is, what you can do here is, you can, for example, I have planted rice in this area. So I have planted it today. What I can do is, I planted rice and plantation day is today. Okay. I give this information and click save, right? So this field will have, I can either, so right now you can see how fast it loads, because it's already loaded and it's inside your system. So you don't even need internet connection. One thing to remember is, once you load the data, then when you go to the field, please turn off the data. That way it will load instantly. But when there is internet connection, it will try to search if there is any new data as well. So when there is internet connection, it will take few more time just to see if there is any new data. If there is any new data, it will just keep new dates as well. So after I put the crop type and plantation date, what I can do when there is a harvest is, I can just press complete growing season. So after that, we'll collect few information like when is the harvest date. So for demo, I'll do it today. And let's suppose I have 5,000 kgs of rice, and I'll update this information. So this will help you determine the trends of your plantation, which plant was planted when, and what was the harvest. This would be very useful for you as well. And mhm. So okay, uh, and another thing is, here you can either use water uses as well. The water uses is dependent on, like, whenever you are irrigating your field, then you can either, before irrigating, you can just download the data and then just go to the farm. And here, based on this color combination, here you can see, from low water content to high water content, there is a value there, right? So based on that value, you know whether there is high water content or low water content. Similarly, fertilizer spray as well. This is in the beta version. Still needs to be further tested. This, especially the fertilizer spraying feature. So here as well, the color combination, you can see from low nitrogen content to high nitrogen content, there is a color difference, right? So based on that, you compare it with the ground reality. So this is the things that you can check for yourself. Use the app, and whenever you reach the field, for example, here, let's suppose for crop health, is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to just take a moment once. So are you following along, or is there any confusion until now?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Bikram.
Yeah, I'm not able to add the field because it was saying like error adding field. Hello.
Hello, Suman, sir. I think he is muted again.
Hello, Mr. Suman.
No, no worry, no worry. We'll join in shortly.
Maybe he's having a problem with internet connection, so let's wait a little more time. Till then, if you have any question, please put down on the chat box. Then when we get back, he will respond.
Okay, I think he's back.
Hello, Suman sir.
So, so now I'll start sharing again. So, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. Sorry, it's taking a lot time than we expected. It's already crossed our time limit. I'll briefly share what's important in our app, and then what we'll do is we'll conclude today's meeting. And after that, what you can do is you can try for yourself, work with the app, and if you face any issues, then we'll have a detailed discussion tomorrow as well. So that's why I've kept it today's session. And here, so as soon as the data loads, so here I am interested in in going to the red part in the middle. So this is just an example. This is not an agricultural area. So I'm interested in going to the red areas in the middle that you can see, right? So I just turn my mobile, and you see slowly the arrow is changing, right? So the arrow is straight to that areas again. We are facing the issues with inconsistent GPS because of the thing that because we are inside the building. Whenever we are inside a building, there's inaccurate GPS. But when you move to the farm, it should be all right. I'm having some issues with screen sharing from my mobile. I will share again. So here I'm interested in going to the red area, so I slowly turn my mobile, and whenever it faces towards the red area, please walk. After that, you should start working, and the GPS will slowly move along with your movement. So that's how we reach to the red area using our mobile phone. So first thing to remember is once you load the data, you can use it offline. Our app supports complete offline functionality. So for example, it's again not working. Just a moment. Romulo, that's not walking. I'm not walking right now. But what happens is whenever you are inside a building, the GPS is not so accurate because it needs at least 5 to 6 GPS to accurately pinpoint its location. So currently I'm inside a building. So that's the reason it's moving. Whenever you are in open farm, it will not move. So having said that, whenever you reach the red area, you can just close it. And after reaching, you can just press plus again. And down there, you see option for talk to expert, right? You just press that. And that leads to what you can do here is You can just message thing. I have a problem here. Then what you can do is also take a picture as well. So for example, I took this picture for demo. Okay. So you just press OK. So imagine uh, this is a problematic area. So you just send that I have a problem here. Then our team of experts will get back to you within 24 hours with that problem. So how our app supports is, if you have a very big area that you can't monitor personally by visiting each and every area, you can just load that thing in our app, load that field in our app, and after that what it does is you can identify where there is a problem, and then you can reach to that problematic area, send us a picture like this, and then we'll solve your problem. So that way Ndvi, how it can help is, it won't tell you what exactly the problem is, but you'll see in the map red color. So that red color can either come from a plant. So let's say a plant can't absorb enough light for photosynthesis. So that means either it has nutrient deficiency, or either it has disease that's affecting its plant to take lights. So maybe the leaves of the plant is damaged, so that's why it can't take enough light. So that areas will be presented in red whenever there is problem, but we don't say that it's specifically because of this problem. But after you press talk to expert and send us a picture of your problematic area, then there's a conclusion. Then we can say like this might be because of that. We can come to a specific conclusion, or we can identify your problems in that case. So here you can also add some notes. So for example, I want to add a note. So I'll press once. Here is rice plant, or something like that. You can save it and it will appear in your note. So this can be also useful to identify maybe some problematic areas, or to keep note of any problematic areas. So you understand my point, right? And you can always reach to that note area using GPS. So now to reach the GPS area, I need to more rotate my phone towards that point, towards that blue point here, down there, and then just start working. This will work even when you're offline. So I think this is a very short and sweet introduction about our app, about precision agriculture. And we already have passed our time limit. Actually, it was supposed to be 45 minutes, but since some of the champions, they joined late. So that's the reason we started late and we are ending late. So is there any confusion until now?
Can I have a one question? So I'm not able to add my farm. It was saying like error adding field. So how can we solve that problem?
Okay, I think I can solve that issue. We had that same issue with one or two users. So Bikram, what you can do is, once can you log out of your current account? This issue will be solved within a week. Actually, we are working on this as well. So you just need to log out once and then log in again. After that, it will work.
Okay.
Is it working?
No, I'm just trying.
Okay. So are there any other questions as well? Otherwise, we can conclude today's meeting. And what you can do is we'll provide you valuable resource tutorial link as well. And today, your work to do for today could be to go through the app, read its blog, and try to understand what's going on in PlantSat. And tomorrow, we can do is we can answer your all queries. So everyone understood my point, right?
Okay. So how can we remove the field if we want to?
For removing the field, I'll just do a demo as well. My screen sharing is not working again, so I'll do it again. Okay. So Bikram, for removing a field, you can just go to Insight page. Insight page, there you see a lot of polygons, right? This is the one that I just created. So I can just press delete and okay, that way it will get deleted. It's quite simple.
Okay, so I found again the same problem after the log out. So
Mm-mm.
I guess we can solve this problem in the week.
Uh-uh. There's still a problem with login, adding field, right?
Yeah, I found the same problem again after the log out also. And I uninstalled the app and again installed, so I couldn't get that one.
You still can't access. So what I would suggest is either, so right now you're logging in from Google account.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you try it with Facebook as well?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And try with Facebook, and then we can communicate. I'll communicate with you personally, and
Okay.
then we'll solve this issue after
Mm-hmm.
this. Okay, Vikram. If there's anyone having the same issue, please communicate with
Okay.
me after the meeting. I'll reply you as soon as possible. So,
Can we edit that coordinates in field where what we can get and
sorry, Kazim, I couldn't hear you well. Can you repeat again?
can we edit the coordinates
Mhm.
once we add the farmer geofencing, or
So
that's
you, see-
editable in?
so you mean you want to access the coordinates as well of your field? You mean lat long values?
See.
So you can actually see the lat long in our app right now. You can just create a polygon and check crop health. Regarding the just referencing or the lat long information, geopositioning information, you have to check it in Google Maps. I guess there you can see lat long values. But here, that's an interesting thing as well. If most of our users are interested even in accessing the location lat long values, then we can have it in our app in next iteration as well.
Okay.
So I think we should conclude the meet for today as we are already late, running late. So if you have any questions, you can just write me an email or any of from my team or in info@feed innovations as well. We'll answer your questions as soon as possible. And to do for today is like you just go through the things that I have demonstrated. You go through our app. I will also send you the video tutorial of the app. It's available in YouTube. Please go through that video and try it once. It would be even better if you could find a real field where crops are growing so that you can check whether there is problem or not. So if there is any field nearby that has something growing, you can just add that field and make sure you add proper field, because if you add field from one location and try to get insights into another location, it would be very confusing. So make sure the area that you add is accurate. That would be a very good discussion for tomorrow's round. So having said that, I would like to thank you for your time and patience. So I think we should conclude the meeting now. And sorry. So finally, Simbal, thank you. Thank you, Sumbal, that you find it very informative. And I wish you all peace and good health as we navigate through this difficult times of COVID. So please stay safe and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time and patience. Thank you. Well, end the
Thank you,
session.
Suman sir.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Thank
Stay
you so
safe.
much.
Yeah.